I can't do anything right. What is wrong with me? Gosh darn it! Stupid idiot. No one likes you. You can't do anything right. You'll never build this business. You're never gonna do anything. Gosh, I wish you could be more like them. Successful, thin, beautiful.
Hello my friends and welcome to The Simple Sober Life. I am Joshua and I help others make simple changes to create a life of awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today we are going to talk about how to battle self-doubt. Now, self-doubt is a common feeling that everyone gets. So I don't want you to feel alone if you are doubting yourself about your abilities, your capabilities, or something that you want to do in the future. You know, everyone has these doubts. Even the most successful, famous, richest person on the planet has self-doubts. It's all a matter of how they handle their doubts and how they combat them and push through it. And we can take a lesson from those who have accomplished things before us in order to manage and control our self-doubts. Now, one of the things that I'm finding when I'm starting to feel down and bad about myself, about doubting about my abilities and what I'm trying to do, is say stop. Now I know it sounds ridiculous. It sounds so elementary, but this has such huge power over stopping the cycle that your mind is going through. Snap out of it. You know, I don't know about you, but when I get in kind of a pit of self-doubt, it's like a rotating hamster wheel up in my head. I can't do this. I'm no good. I don't know how to do this. I'm never going to get this done. I can't shoot that many videos in one day. No one's ever going to read my book. I mean, I just start doubting myself over and over and over again. And one of the tricks that I actually learned from a friend of mine. He's a behavior analyst, and he deals with kids who are either developmentally delayed or have really bad behavioral issues. And they kind of go through the same thing. They'll get their head and start spinning, and they'll just start cycling through this process. And when he sees these kids start to go through that, he has to immediately stop their thought process. And he does that by creating such a jarring or mind-altering activity. He'll clap his hands, or he'll kind of put his hand on the kid's shoulder a little, not forcefully, because he is in education, but kind of aggressively, so that it kind of shakes him out of that loop. And we need to do that for ourselves, like mentally and physically. If it takes slapping yourself in the face, go ahead and do that. Anything to stop that thought process immediately, so that you can take a step back, evaluate what your mind is going through right now, and get into a new thought pattern. Creating that jolt will help just stop that cycle in its tracks, so that you can reevaluate and readjust. Another thing that you can do is, when you've readjusted and you've taken that pause back, think of a time that you were successful, when you actually had doubts about yourself and you were able to overcome those doubts and achieve the goal that you wanted to do. In producing these videos and in developing the Simple Sober Life business, I've had a lot of feedback. A lot of it has been fantastic. I've gotten several mentions saying, you've really helped me through this time in my life. I feel like I can go on because, you've given me inspiration And those are amazing. I love hearing that positive feedback. But once in a while, a hater will come along and they'll be like, why are you doing this? You're wasting your time. You're not any good at this. Ah! And it's those people that kind of push me back and make me stop and start doubting myself. Am I really doing the right thing? Do I even know what I'm doing, what I'm talking about in order to help other people? Maybe I really should, step back and, cancel this whole thing. But when I start producing new videos, new blog posts, new social media, and I start getting that rewarding feedback again, then I know that I'm on the right path. And so whenever I have self-doubts in my life, in other areas, my health, my spirituality, my relationships, I think back to moments that I have been successful, even especially when I persevered past those self-doubts. Another thing that we can do is actually talk to someone about the feelings that we're having. And I know, I don't know about you, but I want to be kind of constrained and I want to keep up that wall. I don't want to tell anyone how I'm feeling because it puts me in a place of vulnerability and weakness. But, I've got a few select friends that I can actually open up to. Or, when I was going to therapy, I would be able to open up. I built up that trust that I could open up and I can actually talk to these people about it. And sometimes in just saying what you're feeling out loud can help you process this situation and help you come up with solutions to try and push through that self-doubt. Or, if they're a good friend, they'll give you some positive reinforcement, some encouragement, and remind you of when you were able to push through those self-doubts before and accomplish a goal. And so talking with someone can absolutely help you push through and kick down those self-doubts. Another thing that we absolutely must stop doing in order to beat down those self-doubts is comparing ourselves to others. Every single person on this planet has a unique situation and a unique life, a unique path that they're going on. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to compare ourselves to someone else. Now, they may have gone through similar situations, they may have had similar experiences, and you can learn and grow from that. But to compare yourself right now to where someone was, 20 years ago and where they are now, it makes absolutely no sense. You're forgetting all the difficulties that they'd gone through. And I have a terrible time with this. I'm constantly comparing myself, especially when it comes to finances and things like that, about business opportunities, about anything, spirituality, relationships. I'm constantly comparing myself to others. And all that does is make me feel bad about myself. But whenever I'm able to figuratively or literally slap myself in the face, step back and be like, you know what? I've made such great progress right now. Let's keep going with that. Let's keep following on my path. Then I'm able to push out the comparison and only compare myself to where I've been and where I'm going, where I want to go. And so that gives me positive reinforcement and encouragement to keep going in the direction that I'm going. Another thing that you can do in order to beat down self-doubt is start journaling. It's a habit that I don't put pen to paper. I create videos, but and whatever way works best for you, do it. But it helps you kind of verbalize what you're going through, and it helps you kind of put a realistic perspective on life. When you actually write it down or watch one of the videos that you create and actually be like, oh, you know what? I actually am doing okay. I actually am doing all right. Or, you know what? Maybe I could change this. Maybe I could do this a little bit differently and move myself forward a little quicker. So putting that down, it helps kind of clear out the clutter inside your head and, actually move forward into a positive state of mind and move forward in life, beating down those self-doubts. Another thing that you can do is understand that setbacks are temporary. We only have this moment. And just because we failed right now doesn't mean that we can't learn from it and move forward in the beginning. It took me many failures to eventually reach a point in sobriety where I feel comfortable with myself. I can actually, proclaim myself an alcoholic and help other people. And it took all of those failures in order to get to this point. And spiritually and mentally, I'm in a better place than I ever have been when I quit in the past. And so I've learned from my mistakes. I've learned from those failures, and now I'm moving forward. And so those setbacks, while in the moment seemed like they would last forever, eventually passed. And I was able to learn from them, pick myself back up, and go on. Another thing that you can do is educate and practice. So if you are going in for a skill set and you have very limited experience, it's completely natural to have self-doubts. I mean, who wouldn't? When I went into this job that I have now, I'm working in steel fabrication. And I had never done that in my entire life. Never even thought that a possibility. It's ridiculous. It blows my mind to even think that I'm there. But even this past week, I didn't have any work in my department, and so I'm someone who has to stay busy. I can't just stand around and do nothing. And so I volunteered to learn something new. Never done it before in my life. It's called cambering beams. And what they do is they take this huge, like 50-foot steel beam, and they apply heat to it so that it starts to bend. That involves drawing with chalk in very specific locations according to calculations and things like that, and also the use of a blowtorch. And for anyone who knows me, I don't do tools. Never have. Not a tool guy. I will never be Tim the Tool Man Taylor. Not my style. But, I went in with a positive attitude. I'm going to learn something new. And, the guy who was coaching me on it, took me step by step exactly what we were going to do. And after a while, I was able to start doing it on my own. I'd use my tape measure, and I felt so manly carrying around a tape measure on my belt. I tell you what, I was just waiting for people to swoon. Walking around with my tape measure on my belt. It was awesome. And so I'd whip out the calculations real quick, I'd sketch it all out, and then I'd fire up that blowtorch and heat up that beam, and I'll be damned. It did exactly what it was supposed to do. But it's only because I educated myself or got someone to help educate me and practiced doing it that I was actually able to accomplish that goal. And that has happened so many times in my life, pushing through that self-doubt through education and practice. And lastly, my friends, one thing, and probably the most important thing, and especially the most fun thing that we can do in order to kick down those self-doubts and beat them down, is to celebrate our wins. When we actually put forth the effort and take a small step forward, and it doesn't matter whether you're taking a small step forward in your sobriety or your health or your finances or religion or relationships, celebrate it. It could be a small victory dance. It could be a pat on the back. It could be a way to go. It could be going out and buying something crazy, like a Louis Vuitton bag. But celebrate those small wins, because what that does is it mentally, positively reinforces you to try new things and to keep moving forward in your goals. So I hope you got value out of this. If you did, please make sure to comment down below. I love to see your comments. If you have other suggestions on how to kick down and beat self-doubt, please comment down below. I would love to hear your feedback on that. Also, give this video a big old thumbs up and subscribe. Hit that bell when you subscribe so you get notified each time I create a video, and I will see you next time. Cheers, my friends.